Did you know you can save so much money and always have fresh fruit ready to go? Let me show you my secret. Welcome to Happy Place Creations by Connie. I am so glad you decided to join me today. Now, I know you're probably thinking, Connie, this is a resin channel. What are you doing with fruit? Well, friends, I'm all about making life easier and more joyful. And today I'm sharing one of my absolute favorite kitchen hacks with you. I'm going to show you exactly how I freeze my fruits for smoothies, for baking, for snacks. Because let me tell you, I love having them in my shakes. And honestly, I just love eating them frozen right out of a bowl. And I've got a little microwave trick that's going to blow your mind. So let's get started. All right, friends, let's start with blueberries. These are one of my favorites. So the first thing I do is open up my container and I'm going to check over every single blueberry. Yes, everyone. I'm looking for any mold, any leftover leaves, any of that greenery that sometimes sneaks in there. We want only the best berries going into our freezer. As I'm checking them over, I'm putting the good ones right into my colander. This makes the rinsing process so much easier. Once I've gone through my entire container and checked all my blueberries over, then I rinse them off really well under cold water. Now here's where my setup comes in, and I want to talk about this for a second because it's important. I'm taking a cookie sheet and I'm lining it with parchment paper, but not just any parchment paper. I use unbleached parchment paper. And here's why, friends. I don't want any chemicals in my food. If it's bleached, then there's a chemical process involved, and I'm just not comfortable with that. So I always choose unbleached parchment paper. It's a simple swap that gives me peace of mind. Okay, friends, now here's a step that is absolutely crucial, and I'm telling you, this is going to make all the difference in the world. You're going to see me take these rinsed blueberries and place them on a separate cookie sheet that's lined with paper towels. Now watch this. I'm taking another set of paper towels and I'm going to be gently rolling these blueberries around. And you might be thinking, Connie, why are you doing this? Well, I'm going to tell you why. I'm getting rid of all that excess water. Because if you don't get rid of that excess water off those wet blueberries, you are going to end up with freezer burn. And trust me, you do not want freezer burn on your blueberries because it will absolutely ruin the taste. We've worked too hard to let that happen. You're going to see me doing this over and over again because here's the thing. You cannot do all the blueberries at once. You've got to work in small batches, a little bit at a time. So I'm going to be changing my paper towels very, very often. As soon as they get wet, I'm swapping them out for fresh, dry ones. Yes, it takes a little extra time, but I promise you it is so worth it for that perfect freezer burn-free result. And then, once they're nice and dry, we're putting our blueberries on that cookie sheet with the unbleached parchment paper, spreading them out in that single layer we talked about. Now they're ready to go into the freezer and freeze up beautifully without any of that nasty freezer burn. Now, you might be saying to yourself right about now, well, Connie, that's an awful lot of paper towels. And you know what? You're absolutely right. But here's what I do. I let those paper towels dry out completely, and then I can always use them for another purpose. Maybe for cleaning up a spill, maybe for wiping down counters, whatever I need. I always try to save wherever I can, friends. We're being smart about our food and being smart about our resources. It's a win-win. So don't throw those paper towels away, let them dry, and give them a second life. And now this goes straight into the freezer, and we're going to leave them there until they are completely frozen solid. This usually takes a few hours, but it's so worth the wait. All right, friends, now I'm going to show you how I process my strawberries. And honestly, it's pretty much the same manner as when I'm doing my blueberries, so you're already ahead of the game. But here's the difference. With strawberries, I'm going to cut the tops off first, and then I'm going to slice them up. I like to slice mine because they freeze faster. They're easier to use in smoothies, and honestly, they just work better for all the ways I like to use them. Now, I'm going to give them their water bath just like we did with the blueberries, and I'm going to do that same process with the paper towels, getting all that excess water off so we don't get any freezer burn. Then they go on the parchment paper and straight into the freezer. But here's the thing, friends. I'm not going to put you through the torture of watching me do that entire water bath and paper towel process all over again. LOL. I mean, we just did that with the blueberries, right? So I'm going to speed that part up for you. You'll still see the footage, so you know I'm doing it the same way. But we're going to fast forward through it so we can get to the good stuff. the after the freezer part where the magic really happens. So sit tight, here comes the fast forward, and then we'll be right back with you. Now, I want to share one more little thing with you, friends, because this is really important to me. You see the tops of those strawberries? Even those don't go to waste. Not in my kitchen. I have a compost bin that I use for my garden, and let me tell you, it's one of the best things I ever started doing. So the things that I don't buy from the grocery store, I grow them in my garden. And any of the food items that I don't use, like these strawberry tops, vegetable peels, coffee grounds, whatever it is, I use them in my compost. And then I repurpose that beautiful, nutrient-rich compost into my soil for my garden. So it all comes full circle, friends. Nothing goes to waste. And I'm creating this amazing, healthy soil that helps me grow my own food. It's sustainable, it's smart, and honestly, it just feels good knowing that I'm taking care of the earth while I'm taking care of myself. So don't throw those tops away. Compost them. Your garden will thank you. All right, friends, our berries are frozen solid and they are perfect. Now it's time to get them stored away so we can enjoy them whenever we want. Now, I have this handy little holder that is an absolute game changer. It holds my bag for me. It's like having a second set of hands. I'm telling you, this thing is amazing. Watch this. I slowly pull the parchment paper back, and it brings the berries right up from the tray, and I can just dump them straight into the bag. No mess, no berries rolling all over the counter, no frustration. It makes this process so easy and so fast. If you don't have one of these bag holders, friends, you need to get yourself one. It's one of those tools you didn't know you needed until you have it, and then you wonder how you ever lived without it. Now, here's a little tip for you, friends. When you're pulling that parchment paper back to dump your berries into the bag, you might want to hold one end and make sure your blueberries don't roll right over the edge. Ha ha ha! Like mine just did. See, even I'm not perfect. But that's okay. We just scoop them up and keep going. That's what cooking and creating is all about, right? Learning as we go and having fun with it. So hold that edge, friends, and save yourself from chasing blueberries across your counter like I just did. Okay, friends, here's another really important tip. You want to lay your blueberries as flat as you can in the bag. Spread them out nice and even. This does two things. It saves you so much space in your freezer, and it helps them freeze more evenly. Now watch this technique. You want to press all the air that you possibly can out of that bag before you seal it. Air is the enemy when it comes to freezer storage, friends. It causes freezer burn, and we definitely don't want that after all this work. Now, as you probably noticed, I sealed most of the bag across, but I left just a little corner not sealed. See that? This is my secret. Now I can push out all that air through that little corner. I'm just pressing it all out, getting every last bit. And then, once all that air is out, I seal it fully across before I place the bag into the freezer. Now we've got perfectly flat, air-free bags of berries that are going to stay fresh and delicious with no freezer burn. They'll stack beautifully in your freezer too, saving you tons of space. If you're in the mood for just a simple, refreshing bowl of fruit, no fuss at all. I absolutely love enjoying mine while catching my favorite nightly TV show. There's something really comforting about that little ritual. I pop it in the microwave for just 10 seconds, and suddenly it's like I've just plucked it fresh from the vine or branch, juicy, vibrant, and bursting with natural sweetness. The warmth gently softens the texture without losing that crisp, zesty bite, and the aroma fills the air, making the whole experience feel extra special. It's those small moments of joy, simple, satisfying, and perfectly timed, that make everyday life feel a little more magical.